of this late night drink. Tiny constellations are slowly dissolving. Fragments of ice and citrus spinning like drowned galaxies around the thin slice of your reflection. And as you lift the glass, everything above the table smears into liquid streaks, multiplying lamps into soft halos that bend and scatter. So the bar becomes an aquarium of drifting silhouettes and luminous fragments of conversation. All of us floating in each other's exhaled stories, indistinct yet gently connected, like stars seen through deep water. And your voice sounds different here, slower, coated in velvet echo, as if every word had to learn how to swim before reaching my ear. And somewhere between the rise and fall of the bass line, between the lazy brush of cymbal and the electric piano, slow breathing chords, the distinction between sky and sea, ceiling and floor, above and below, loses its usual confidence, leaving only this vast submerged hush, where desires, fears, and half-formed plans hover in suspension, weightless and shimmering, waiting for someone brave enough to disturb the surface with a new question, a new promise, or simply the soft decision to stay a little longer in this blurred aquarium of maybe. A dim blue glow is humming at the edge of what is real, and every quiet heartbeat loosens gravity a little more, so that even the thoughts between us smear into soft streaks of color, folding over themselves like silk in slow water, patient and directionless, yet somehow still arriving here, where your shadow leans into mine, until there is no line at all, only a breathing gradient of warmth and distant streetlight bending, pooling, learning the language of blur, where names are words and careful definitions we once protected so fiercely, now unspool into glistening threads that refuse to stay straight, tracing circles around the room, around the curve of your hand, around the small forgotten sorrows drifting near the ceiling. And as the air thickens with quiet trick whispers, every boundary becomes a rumor, soft as brushed symbols, unprobable and sweet, so that when you finally step forward, you do not cross any border. You simply sink deeper into this glowing murmur that used to be a horizon, and now is only an endless inward slide, slow, forgiving, and lunar, where even endings are just colors changing their minds in the dark.
Tonight the avenue is floating like a quiet river made of windows. Every signal smeared into soft halos as the rain decides to erase the sharpness of each passing moment. And you walk through it slowly, carrying a borrowed umbrella and a secret you are not sure you still own. Because the more you move, the less there is of you that feels separate from the glittering mist, from the soft neon bleeding down the glass, from the hush of distant traffic breathing long elastic waves, so that when you catch your reflection in a shop door, it ripples, doubles, and folds back into the street, leaving only a faint suggestion of someone watching, someone almost remembering, and the city becomes a single unbroken chord held forever in the lungs of an unseen orchestra, while above the clouds rearrange themselves into forgotten letters, half read, half imagined, dissolving before they can reach a conclusion. And it does not matter, because the border between your footsteps and the pavement has already melted into a slow, shimmering pulse that carries you forward, not quite walking, not quite drifting, as if you were the last clear outline in a world that has decided to turn softly, finally, beautifully out of focus.
edges of everything seem tired, as if the outlines of chairs, windows, and even your careful sentences had been awake for too many days in a row, guarding their shapes, defending their clarity. And now finally they are allowed to lie down, to loosen, to close their eyes and breathe like ordinary creatures. So the room's geometry softens into a drowsy hush, corners rounding out into shadows that yawn and stretch, while the border between your body and the warm air around it drifts lazily, undecided. And in this gentle unraveling, all the strict separations you once trusted begin to nap as well. The line between past and present, dozing off against the bar, the barrier between hope and resignation, curled up on the piano bench. Even the distinction between you and the person you might become is slipping under a shared blanket of slow chords and brushed cymbals. And as the night leans toward its final tender exhale, you realize that when edges sleep, the world does not vanish. It simply becomes touchable in new ways, soft enough to hold without breaking, quiet enough to hear the tiny luminous breath of every possibility resting beside you in the dark. There is an hour before the first train sighs into the station, when the city forgets its own name. And in that tender absence, streets, rooftops, and empty platform float inside a soft gray pause, as if the entire world were inhaling very slowly, not yet committed to being solid again. And you wander through this suspended prelude with your coat half buttoned, listening to the quiet clink of distant bottles, the murmur of refrigeration units, the almost inaudible song of streetlights powering down, all of it blurring into a single long chord that stretches from last night's laughter to tomorrow's unanswered messages. And in this in-between music, your memories arrive as faint echoes moves without timestamps. A hand on your shoulder, a voice mispronouncing your name, the smell of someone's scarf. You never return, each detail floating free of its original scene, weightless, available to be rearranged, forgiven, or simply admired before it fades. And as the sky begins to thin into a hesitant blue, you feel your own outline returning, but softer, less convinced of its old sharp angles, willing to stay for a few more breathless minutes, a gentle blur at the edge of a coming day. The room is painted in tones that do not quite exist on any chart. The slow rotation of colors slipping past their own names, violet melting into rust, gold sighing into a tender gray. And every time the piano leans into a new chord, the air thickens with particles of shade and light that rearrange the outlines of your hands, your glass, your tired but curious eyes. So the nothing sits still long enough to be captured, only suggested, implied, whispered in overlapping gradients. And the familiar rules of contrast begin to fail. Dark refuses to stay separate from bright, cool, slides into warm without asking permission, leaving you inside a chromatic haze where emotions behave like wandering hues. Sadness arriving as a soft green fog, desire flickering as an unstable crimson pulse, and you realize that the language you brought tonight has too few words for this many variations of almost this many shades of in-between. So instead of speaking, you let your gaze smear across the drifting palette of body shadows, reflections on glass and tiny distant streetlights, trusting that some unspoken spectrum is translating your heartbeat into color, sending it outward in waves that blur, blend, and finally disappear into the slow turning dusk. Tonight there are too many rooms inside your head, each one lit by a different memory that refuses to stay in its assigned decade. And as you wander through them, barefoot and slightly out of breath, you notice something unsettling and strangely kind, that none of these rooms have doors anymore, only gentle thresholds made of shadow and music, so that arguments spill into childhood summers. Unfinished emails drift through first kisses, and the smell of hospital corridors curls softly into the taste of late night takeout, creating a seamless fog of experience where beginnings and endings go missing, replaced by a continuous murmur of almost familiar feelings. And at first you try to rebuild the walls, label the moments, restore the borders with tidy language. But the more you insist, the softer everything becomes, until the labels run like ink in warm water, and you are left with the vast humming interior landscape. One long room with many moods, where grief can sit beside laughter without explanation, and regret can nap quietly in the same corner, where new hope is learning how to talk. And you realize that maybe this blur is mercy, a way for your story to hold itself all at once without breaking. Somewhere between the ticking of an unseen clock and the hush of distant traffic, the axis that used to hold your days together loosens slowly, like a record turning on a spindle that no longer remembers its exact center. And everything that once lined up so neatly begins to slide half a degree to the left, maybe more. So coffee cups, calendars, and casual routines tilt into a softer alignment, where purpose is not a sharp point but a gentle swirl of maybe, almost not yet. And you sit in the middle of it all, feeling the floor reclining to a calm horizon, while thoughts you believed were permanent constellations smear into drifting smudges of possibility, faint but luminous. And there is a strange relief in realizing that direction was always a suggestion, never a law. That north and later and forever are just convenient names for the temporary angles we used to keep from floating away. And now that the axis is fading, the room becomes a slow turning lantern of moving shadows, each one an invitation to let your plants blur into something more honest, less legible, where the only true coordinates are the warmth of your own pulse and the way the air shivers when a new melody decides to enter the night. All along the hallway, mirrors lean against the walls like patient doors to slightly altered evenings. And as you pass, they borrow pieces of you, stretching your outline into delayed gestures that arrive a second late, as though time were rehearsing different versions of your body in secret. And the more you look, the less certain you become of which moving fragment is actually here, breathing, blinking, almost laughing, almost turning away, until the corridor becomes a river of softened reflections, overlapping in gentle layers that refuse to choose a single truth. And your memories respond in kind, loosening their frames, letting past and possible future glide into each other like dancers, trading names. So the argument from last winter wears tonight's shirt. The apology you never spoke appears in your current mouth, and even the quiet stranger at the end of the hall feels weirdly familiar, as if composed of borrowed gestures from your own unfinished stories. And maybe this is what it means for identity to blur, not a loss, but a slow watercoloring of self across multiple moments, where every reflection is a valid rumor. Every angle a soft version of you that could have been. Still might be if the music lingers long enough and the lights do not demand an answer too soon. There is a quiet orbit humming in the space between your shoulders. In my mouth, something slower than speech, yet heavier than silence, curving every casual glance pause into a question we never quite pronounce. And in that suspended pause, the room forgets its corners, lets the furniture soften into drifting outlines, as if the walls themselves are listening for a confession made entirely of breath and hesitation, so that even the ice in our glasses seems to float a little before it melts, blurring the line between solid and murmur, between what was clearly separate and what is now gently entangled. And maybe it is only the low light, maybe it is only the lazy piano voicing the shape of our unspoken thoughts. But the distance across this small table stretches and folds like slow tide, pulling at every story we told ourselves about control, composure, friendship, and other half-true words, until there is nothing left but this soft, inevitable leaning, this quiet surrender to a gravity that never demanded names or promises, only a willingness to let our careful edges smear into something shared, warm and electric, where it is no longer possible to tell who crossed first, who yielded it, who stayed cautious. Because the moment has become a single blurred photograph of two shadows moving closer than they meant to, luminous and slightly out of time.